and the captain went into gear and I fell off the back of the boat.
No way.
We had Sean Connery over shooting a movie. Incredible bays, the water.
I think I've never seen such a blue and turquoise color so intensive as here in this Camino Bay.
We're enjoying the environment when we're on a yacht and we need to protect it.
So today I'm here with Cassidy Woods, and he's our representative in Malta for breezeYachting.swiss. He's also a personal friend of mine, and I really wanted to do this interview for a long time already, and now finally we can make it true. So let's shoot with some questions right along. Cass, how did Malta actually develop into the yachting destinations it's right now?
Yeah, so we're an island, so Malta historically has been a very important stopping point in the Med because it's very central, so we've been raped and pillaged by pretty much every major country in the world, and we developed from that. So basically, you know, during the Second World War, Malta was a key stopping point for the British going to Egypt. After the war, the British who settled in Malta were obviously very keen yachtsmen as well, so they brought that kind of culture to the community. So there were obviously a handful of boats back in the 60s and 70s, but it was always something that I think the local community aspired to get involved with. And then over time, people started buying smaller boats and cruising, and then they were venturing further afield, going to Sicily. And it's developed obviously to today, where we now have super yachts frequenting the islands, and it's become a major contributor to the Maltese economy.
Yeah, no, and we can see that also. I think Malta is very famous for its flag and registry.
That's right.
Operation.
I think even today we're actually probably the largest merchant flag in Europe, and definitely top 5 in the world. So it's put us on the map, literally.
Yeah.
We're also trying to promote the yachting industry by way of legislation. So recently they've launched this new scheme for charter boats. So if you're under 24 meters, it's a much more streamlined, straightforward setup to get your boat.
Yeah, I heard about this. I also had a client who were working on this. So basically it means much more simplified rules. So you don't need to insulate the engine room with a new insulate. So it's kind of accepting the CE
correct. So it's easier to get to that level, and it's also cost effective. So it's quite a good incentive to those clients. And also for yachts that start the charters in Malta, there's a VAT benefit as well. So you're looking at about 12.5% as opposed to the standard 18.
Oh, that's interesting. So I think Malta was a bit over-regulated lastly with the flag, and then a lot of clients actually realized that it's not so easy anymore. And I think also Malta reacted quite quickly.
There was a bit of a seesaw. I think Malta was very under-regulated initially, and that was frowned upon by a lot of other European countries. It was great for us, obviously, in the business, but then it became over-regulated, and now we're trying to find a happy medium, which I think we're getting to.
Yeah, that's good news, I think, because it was really I think that there's really a need for that in the market also, to have that smaller vessels under 24 meter and register length to have a more simplified approach into a charter setup. And tell me, I mean, Malta's famous for the flag and everything, but is it also a nice cruising destination?
It's a great cruising destination. Our only limitation is obviously our size, because we're relatively small. So we have incredible bays. The water, as you know yourself now from some visits you've had, is beautiful. We have, I think 330 days of sunshine per year. So it's a great destination, but yeah, the size is a bit of a limitation, because obviously, especially on the larger, for example, super yachts, if they're generally chartering for a week or more, within 4 days you've pretty much done everything there is to do in Malta, which
but I mean, it's true. And speaking about the weather, obviously I think I'm lucky, because I have one of the few days where it's not so sunny today.
Exactly.
But I mean, that's fine. It gives us more
perspective,
air to breathe during the interview, so not being
but no, it's a great destination.
And the water too. I mean, what I think I've never seen such a blue and turquoise color so intensive as here in this Camino Bay, and I think that's because of the limestone, right? The
reflection of the limestone and the sand quality. It's pretty special, actually. And there's a few places like that around the islands, but I think the important thing to mention in terms of the draw of yachts to Malta, apart from obviously, yes, the water's amazing, we have some lovely bays, etc. But I think to fill those gaps in terms of not having enough locations, we've got so much history here. If you're a super yacht owner or a charter guest who's looking to get a bit of culture when they come to the Med, or they want to see some sights, then Malta's got it in droves.
Yeah. So on a more personal side of questions, why you ended up in Malta actually?
In Malta?
Yeah.
Well, I was born here. My father's Maltese, so I was born here and grew up here, and lucky enough to being on an island, being by the sea every day, and enjoying the ocean, which I absolutely love. It was a kind of natural progression that I then went into the industry, let's say.
So that's how you came into the industry, basically growing up also in a family of yachting, right? Because I remember your father, Eddie Woods, was very active in the industry.
Correct,
and still is. Yeah.
And he's quite a hard act to follow, so I have to keep working at it. But so it's sort of been in our blood, let's say. For a while, and no, it's great. I mean, it's great to be able to do something that you love every day.
Yeah. And how do you see the yachting industry developing now from your perspective?
Well, I think most importantly, we're seeing a bit of a move towards sustainability, which I think is something that you and I have discussed before. Is very important to us as brokers, and also I think it's important for the industry, because ultimately, we're enjoying the environment when we're on a yacht, and we need to protect it. So, trying to look at new ways, innovative ways for propulsion and all these sorts of things is super important. I also think that the clientele base is changing. I think there's a lot of younger people finding it more accessible to get into yachting. There's more money available. So I think the outlook's positive, but we need to always be wary of the fact that it's not a necessity. Yachting is not a necessity, but it brings a lot of joy to a lot of people, and I think that's where we come in to try and find the right yacht for the right person. Yeah,
I think that's very true about the accessibility, because yachting traditionally is kind of a very enclosed industry. It's a bit Wild West in some parts, and it's not, if you compare it to the aviation industry, where you can have the total cost of ownership by some clicks and some portals. You have bankable data. I think that's also a big step forward to make it more accessible, to explain specific terms and unwritten laws and things like that, to make potential owners understand how they can actually enjoy time on the water.
Correct.
And that's also a bit my mission, and I guess our mission as
no, for sure. And I think part of the joy of this job is to be able to bring joy to these clients. I get a big kick out of, obviously, it's you're in it to earn a living, but at the same time, I think it's very important, or for me anyway, to be able to make the customers happy, find the right boat, and build that relationship. Because for me, it's about making friends as well, meeting interesting people. So it's fun.
Yeah, and tell me a good story you had. I mean, you had also very famous actors here in Malta. I mean, it's a top destination for video shooting.
Yeah, no, we've had a lot, and actually we were quite...
Tell me some stories.
We were directly involved. I can tell you a few bad stories, but I think one funny one that comes to mind is we had Sean Connery over shooting a movie about 15 years ago now, but I was crew on board because we needed some people to be there to chaperone and so on. And I was on the stern of the boat, and the captain went into gear, and I fell off the back of the boat.
No way.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh my God.
So, but I didn't want to make a scene, so I climbed back on and very quietly sat there and tried to dry off. So it's quite funny, but
that's the modest guy you are.
Yeah,
I mean, it's always inspiring for me how you take yourself back and really put the interest of others forward. So.
Yeah. No, really.
And about boats, what would you do as if you want to relax and have boats on your
Well,
trip?
Unfortunately, with the jobs that we have, it's very difficult to find the time. But if I did have the time, for me, the ideal boat would be something that I can handle myself. I love driving. Obviously, I'm a captain as well. So for me, it would be something that I can take on my own. So I'm not aspiring to something too big. Probably, if I'm honest, it would be sail, because I love sailing as well. To get to use the wind. So yes, definitely something that I can manage on my own and just go off and enjoy, and be comfortable on the water.
Yeah, and hey, tell me, what's your mission at breezeYachting.swiss? So what you want to achieve?
Well, I think, as I said earlier, for me it's just very important to develop relationships. I really enjoy the experience of meeting interesting people, who've been successful in their lives, and now they're looking to enjoy themselves, and hearing their stories and finding them the right yacht, and enjoying the whole experience of owning the yacht as well, not just about the sail and then you walk away. It's about developing that relationship and seeing it through to the end.
What have you learned from one of these inspiring owners? Because that's also for me, have these conversations and see how they succeeded in life and their challenges, and really looking behind their success also, like how hard it was for many of the clients also to achieve that success.
No, absolutely, and I'm always learning, and I find interestingly enough, the wealthiest clients I've had tend to be the most interesting, and one in particular, I remember him very, very vividly telling me, for a deal to work, it has to work for every party involved. And I think that's so true. In our job, there's quite a lot of, there's people involved, there's brokers, there's owners, there's buyers, there's sellers, there's lawyers, and I really believe that, for a deal to go through well, everyone has to feel like they're winning. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, the buyer's getting a very good deal, so the seller's getting shafted. It needs to be a win-win. Yeah,
that's true. And I for me that's also really inspiring to hear that, and I take a lot of learnings and wisdoms from these clients, and that's also why I really love the job. So thanks, Cass, for having me over. As always, you're a very good host, and I feel very welcomed. It was a pleasure. And
pleasure was mine.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Cheers, man.
We speak yachting. Let's talk.